Grief. It is so important. It's very heavy. That's why I've got the black shirt on for this video. It is important to process pain. You may have seen my earlier video about it's important to process. We process good things so that we can celebrate them, but we also need to process bad things. We need to process negative things. That means grieving and mourning, and that's not so that we can stay stuck in the sadness. We also don't want to ignore the sadness, but we lean into it so that we can process it and so we can come out good on the other side and live great lives on the other side of that grief. So this is a handout that I give to my workshop participants or make available to them, and I want you to look it up and we're going to go through it together. In a moment I'll have you pause the video. So what I want you to do is go to the website anseloliver.com, that's my website, and click under the menu on resources. And on resources, go all the way to the bottom where it says life stuff and click on grief. So again, anseloliver.com, then go to resources on the menu and scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see a section on life stuff and click on grief and pull up that handout there, and I'll wait for you. Go ahead and pause the video and come back when you got it up. Okay, so let's take a look here. Here are some quotes from one of my mentors, John Townsend, and I learned the importance of grief from him, and I'm so glad I did, because when I went through a kind of a experience, there was an extended family tragedy, and I was kind of stuck for a while. I didn't know what to do, but fortunately, I leaned into the grief, and after a few hours, I wouldn't say I was fine, but I was okay. I could move forward. I could, function. I was stuck at home otherwise. I couldn't eat, I couldn't cook, I couldn't go for a walk, I couldn't go to the grocery store, I couldn't work or type. But fortunately, I knew how to process the pain. I had learned how to process the grief. And after a few hours, I was okay. And I wasn't happy, but I could move forward and actually function in society. And that's what we want to do. We want to process things so that we can function well. So here are some quotes from John Townsend, a prominent psychologist and executive coach. First one there, he says, "We grieve the loss of something because it was important. The tears are worth it." Here's another one. This is a good one. "Grief is pain that takes away other pain." And I'll get more into that in a moment. Here's a final quote from him. "Grief is your friend and it will help you succeed at higher levels." Again, it's about performance. It's all about performance. What's your performance in life, in your career, in your relationships, in your work, in your health, in your finances? Sometimes we're stuck if we don't process things, and it's important to process negative things. So the first paragraph there, grief needs to be processed so that we can, again, live a full, rich life. People who don't process pain may experience reduced performance in various areas of their life, just like I said. And here, this goes away. This next paragraph goes along with the second quote up at the top. "Grief is pain that takes away other pain." I was in Alaska and I heard a lecture from a member of the Tlingit tribe, and he said this here. He said they have the cry song in their culture, in their nation. It takes away grief, but you have to sing the cry song, and you have to cry, and only then will the grief go away. So it's important to cry, and a lot of cultures have similar rituals. This is all throughout the Bible. When the children of Israel were about to be hauled off into captivity, the prophets said, "Let's get a bunch of weeping and wailing women together, the most skilled in this act, so that they can lead a procession through town, and we can all have a kind of a parade of sadness." They could mourn, and we could mourn as a nation. They could mourn as a nation to go through this captivity they were about to enter. When someone dies, a lot of cultures, they send people over to grieve. Yes, those people are getting paid, but they're not necessarily out to make a big buck. They're just trying to help that family grieve, and they cry alongside you. It's kind of like you have that friend, she can laugh at anything. Well, these are people who, they can almost cry at anything. They can feel deeply, and that's a good thing to help others go through these. And this is all throughout the Middle East, North Africa, even East Africa. And today, these even happen still. Next paragraph. "Processing grief might take a few minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, or years. Allow yourself time to process what was important to you. Seek therapy if needed." You can seek therapy, you can seek a counselor, you can seek a grief group at a church or some community group. Next paragraph. "Things to mourn: loss of a person, relationship, money, health, job, or community." Also rejection, abandonment, mistreatment, didn't get a nurturing childhood, limits, a failure you had, a failure even if it pointed you to something good in a better direction after that, you can still mourn that failure. Poor decision in the past, challenging situation, sin, or an ongoing societal problem that you have no control over. You can mourn that and you can process that. So, here are some things you can do to grieve, and it's so important to grieve when appropriate and to grieve well. We don't want to stay stuck in the grief. We don't want to seek sadness, but here's some things you can do when there is something bad that has happened. Someone has died, or there's been a tragedy, or you were wronged, or you, like I said, this list of things to mourn. When there's something bad, here's some things you can do. Number one, cry. So in a private setting or with someone you trust, you can cry. I also list a bunch of songs there that you might use to get you going into that grief. Sometimes songs can touch us in a way that nothing else can. And again, I don't want you to think you should seek sadness all the time, but at the very least, we can appreciate these songs as good works of art. And some of these songs have really helped me when I needed them. The next paragraph there is when it's time to move forward after the grief, after a few hours or a few days or a few weeks, when you think you can move forward and you might want a few songs to help you move forward, there's a list in that next paragraph there. Some real gems there too. Next paragraph, make a list and grieve each item. I'll let you read through that, but the point is that when we lose something, we don't just lose one thing. So when we lose a pet, when a pet dies, say it's a dog, we don't just lose the pet, we lose so many things. Maybe you come home from work and there's that dog jumping up and down, happy to see you. So you're missing out on that. Or maybe when you're feeling lazy at night, and you're like, oh, I gotta go take out the dog, go for a walk, and that's good exercise. Or maybe you go to the dog park and hang out with other people, and you're now missing out on that socialization. So I know someone who had a failure, they had to drop out of a school academic program, and they counted out more than 20 things they would be losing. This would be more prestige in the dating pool. This would be a loss of future prestige. This would be a loss of future big income. You know, whatever it is, you can count up the things and process it. This is why grief is so bizarre. It's so weird. It's so confusing because sometimes you don't even understand what's going on. You don't understand all the things that you have lost when you lose that one thing. Next paragraph, you can join a process group. I recommend doing that in person. I only do process groups. Actually, I don't even do process groups. What I do is attunement sessions. In my workshop series, you've read about that or you've been on the previous videos about that. I only do these in person. I think it is so important that we gather together. So that's why I don't do grief sessions or attunement sessions over Zoom or online. I think it's important that we all get together at certain times. The next one, Sit Shiva. The Jewish tradition for mourning is an uninterrupted week over the loss of someone close. And this is such a beautiful tradition. Again, it helps people get into that sadness so they can come out on the other side. Essentially, what you're wanting to do is after that week, you're kind of wanting to be bored of the grief. And this means you have processed it. You have accepted it. It doesn't mean everything's all hunky-dory on the other side of that week of grief. It doesn't mean you're back to neutral, back to happy, but at least you can function in society, even if you're going to be down for quite a while, and that's okay. Another thing you can do is hold a ceremony, and you can read about some ceremonies there. I would encourage you to learn more about grief. I know this is maybe a tough video to watch in some ways, but it's important, and you now know why, because grieving helps us increase our performance in life, and there are books you can read, there are more videos you can watch. Here's the next paragraph. Look to the good. When it's time to end the formal grieving process, you can move forward in life and look at all the good things. The next paragraph, teach others about this. There are so many people, so many community groups, so many religious organizations, churches, congregations who don't know how to grieve well, and it's really important. So you can become an expert on this, or at least a mid-level amateur, and you can teach your community leader or your clergy or whoever it is about these. You might even be the grief coordinator for your group. And I want to close with a few quotes, and I'll read them with you. They say time heals all wounds. That's not true. It's not exactly what he said, but I cleaned it up for you. He says, time allows you to accept that which cannot be changed. I really like that one. There is a time to mourn. That's right from the book of Ecclesiastes. And then Jesus Christ, if you're a believer, you can read this one too. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And that last paragraph there, honor the person or thing that was lost by deeply mourning over them for an appropriate period of time. Then move forward and live a rich life. That's what they would want for you. And I hope this has been helpful to you, and I hope it's helpful to the people you'll teach others about.